Welcome to New Hampshire's Business. I'm Fred Coker. Take a look at this graph. It shows the downward trends in the last 4 years of enrollments in New Hampshire's university system in the orange line, enrollments in the community colleges in the blue line, and high school graduates in the gray line, all down. Now, recommended short-term initiatives are a community college system as a single statewide college with locations across the state, automatic acceptance to the community colleges for high school students, recruiting employers to assist graduates with loan payments, and developing a 3-year bachelor's degree programs, sponsored workplace-based learning, earning industry credentials. Now, there are long-term initiatives that were recommended: study of 2 systems under one governing board and chancellor, expand online offerings, investigate efficacy of tuition freezes, enable more working age adults to pursue more education. It led to a public higher education task force called for by Governor Sununu to look at these downward trends in college enrollments, a decline in net revenues, and a shift in New Hampshire demographics and workforce trends. With a sense of urgency, the task force has recommended changes in New Hampshire's university and college and community college systems, and here are some of them in its April 2nd report. With me to walk through them is the chair of the Public Higher Education Task Force, Stephen Appleby, who is also Director of Educator Support and Higher Education at the New Hampshire Department of Education. Welcome. Nice to have you here.
Thank you for having me.
We put up on the screen some of those 39 recommendations that you and the task force have made to the governor and the legislature. Which ones are the most critical right now?
I think the most critical short-term recommendations really have to do with easing transfer credits, easing acceptance into the colleges. You noted one of them being the automatic acceptance of high school graduates in our state. And lastly, I think looking at combining back office tasks that the systems both currently do independently, such as payroll, legal, those types of things.
Right, right. This is a major overhaul that you're suggesting to the governor and legislature of the whole university college, community college system in New Hampshire. These recommendations, when could any of them be put into effect in the legislature, which has to do that? Yep. When could that happen?
Yep. So I think that could happen as soon as the next legislative session for some of these. Yep. The legislature is considering a bill right now that would adapt their public higher ed oversight function and incorporate some of these recommendations into that.
A number of items, such as you know, both systems under one governing board and chancellor, suggests that a merger of the 2 systems could happen somewhere down the road. Is that a realistic expectation?
I think it's worth looking at. The governor, a lot of credit to the governor. He gave us a short period of time to really focus us. Yep. And our concern was that if we started talking about merger, we would ignore short-term items. But yes, that could happen down the line. But some of these steps, maybe it happens organically.
Yeah, and the legislature has to weigh in.
And they absolutely do. It's a very long, it's a long process.
Yeah, between legislative sessions, perhaps, or with public hearings, or what?
I think there'll be public hearings between sessions, and then I think there'll be more hearings during the session next fall.
Okay. You got comments from the general public?
Yes, we did receive a few comments, typically having to do with items such as transfer of credits and the barriers for students to transfer between systems, especially.
Yeah. The cost of higher education in this state and across the country is huge. There are a lot of students that just can't do it. That's got to be a primary concern for these recommendations and how they get put into effect going down the next couple of years.
Yeah, certainly, attainment is one of the critical items in this report, educational attainment. And some of these administrative back-end functions being consolidated that we recommended would cut costs for the systems and help keep those costs down for students.
For you, what's your biggest concern going forward with this?
I think my biggest concern is we're on an unsustainable path long term. In the short term, it's okay. But long term, I'm worried that if action isn't begun now, it will be too late, like in other states.
Yeah, too late in other states. Steve Appleby, Chair of the Public Higher Education Task Force and Director of Educator Support and Higher Education at the New Hampshire Department of Education. Thank you.
Thank you.
And if you missed part of this briefing on higher education in New Hampshire and the changes that are afoot, you can go to WMUR.com where it will be posted all this week.